Welcome back to episode 4 of CJ Sports. We're recording on Monday, May 10th. And today we've got a full slate ahead of us. We're going to go over some of our favorites to ever wear the jersey number 1. And we're also going to talk about if there was any rule we could add or remove to any professional sport, what rule would it be and why? So I'm going to get us kicked off here with number 1s. So first of all, I'm just going to mention this guy because, 1, he played for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and 2, he played back in the era where they had those really cool, like, goalie masks that looked like they were about to kill you. So, number 1 for the Pittsburgh Penguins from the years 1973 to 1986 was Dennis Herron. He was a 2-time trophy winner, one of the Williams M. Jennings Trophy, and the Vinza Trophy winner. He had over 8,000 saves in his career.
Okay.
So not a bad career. Unfortunately, he played right before our streak of winning Stanley Cups finally kicked in for the last 25 years. But you know what? Sometimes you miss it. Next up, I just want to throw some love on those kickers in the NFL who, sometimes just go forgotten. And so these low numbers are a good chance to point them out, but I just don't know that a kicker is ever going to be number 1 on a list of wearing a jersey number. But Jason Elam out there at the Denver Broncos played from 93 to 2009. He had 263 games played, 436 made field goals, and 675 made extra points. He won 2 Super Bowls, went to 3 Pro Bowls, and was a 3-time second-team All-Pro.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's some solid numbers.
My number 2 player to ever wear the number 1 is football quarterback for the Houston Oilers. So we're throwing it back there. Warren Moon.
Oh, dude. A legend.
Yeah. A 9-time Pro Bowler. Played 16 seasons from 84 to 2000. He barely missed the 50,000 yards passing club.
Golly, Warren Moon, dude. You forget a guy like that. Randomly you forget a guy like that played, and then you hear the name and you're like, oh man, how did I forget?
Yeah. Well, I think part of what hurts a guy like that is the fact that his team doesn't exist anymore. I know they're the Tennessee Titans and whatever, but the Houston Oilers they don't exist. It's kind of like the Seattle Supersonics. We get 10 years from now, people are going to start forgetting about those players, even though technically they're the Oklahoma City Thunder now. That team doesn't exist anymore.
True. Yeah. The last time I even thought about the Supersonics was when I rebooted my Sega Genesis and played NBA Jam, and they're still on. It's like Supersonics are still on it. So.
Man, yeah. But even just think that's 13 years ago now.
Dang, that's crazy.
Come June or July will be at 13 years since they announced the logo and the name.
That's nuts. Dang. Wow.
Yep. Which means here in a couple of years we'll be at that, 15th anniversary or 10th anniversary of the Oklahoma City Thunder almost having a dynasty and then letting Harden get away.
No. Okay,
no. All right, so my number 1 to wear number 1 was an NBA player who played 1,040 games, averaged 25.7 points per game, 9.5 assists, and 7.5 rebounds. So just based on that, any idea who this guy was?
Not at all. Not a clue. You gotta have to give me a team.
Let's see. A team. How did I cut off what team he played for? Now I can't remember.
Wow, unprofessional. Clay.
I know. I came very unprepared. But I'm sitting here looking at it. He was the Rookie of the Year in 1961.
That does nothing for me.
Okay, well, other than my failure to write down what team he played for, and I don't follow basketball well enough to just know that off the top of my head.
Same.
But when I was looking at stats for basketball players and that jersey number, some names that are just right there, almost him, but still like 6 points per game less, 2 less rebounds per game, and like 3 or 4 assists less per game are players like Chris Bosh.
Okay.
He almost hit that. Derrick Rose was just shy of some of those marks. But the player's name is Oscar Robertson. He played in the league from 1961 to 1974. He was an NBA champion in 71. He was the NBA MVP in 64, 12-time All-Star, a 3-time All-Star Game MVP, 9-time first-team NBA. Just really put together a great career there in the NBA. And I think it's just something that sometimes we get so far removed from that era, because we're like 50 years past him taking the court at this point.
Yeah.
That we forget how much these guys actually really played and how well they played. We're in the era of hearing about all these points going up. We have someone like Kevin Durant who has made so many decisions in his career that he's almost forgettable at this point. Statistically, he's put up huge numbers. But you're also competing with LeBron James and Steph Curry and all these other guys right now in the NBA who just take center stage.
Right.
I'm looking up what team he played on since clearly I forgot.
Okay. Do you want me to move on and then you let me know?
Oh man, this is embarrassing.
For the Bucks?
Who did he play for? He played for the Bucks.
Okay. Way to know the team that you kind of only a little bit keep up with play.
I keep up for the playoffs, which start next week.
You should know that. So.
All right, let's hear your list.
All right, man. For my number 5, I told you I had 4 before we started. I lied. I have one more. My number 5, a dude that's like killing it right now on YouTube and in the like sports football world of media, Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, punter / like long distance kicker for the Colts. At least before they got Vinatieri. And what can I say? Dude's a legend. Like, you can't think of really like when you think about like star punters in the last 10 years, Pat McAfee is one of the first guys that comes to my mind because he just did like the most ridiculous things on the football field.
Dude, saying that, I think in post, I'm going to edit in that highlight of his where he covered his own onside kick. I'm just going to put it on loop over your voice.
Yeah, do that. Just it'll be right here. Right here. Yeah, dude, and like his like tee off celebration when he made like a really good punt. He made football fun to watch. Yeah. A punter made football fun to watch.
Love that.
Yeah. But keeping with the theme of football, my number 4 guy, Kyler Murray, quarterback for the Cardinals. Okay. Fun fact about Kyler Murray, he went to Allen High School. I went to Aledo High School, which has made news recently for some not good things. Look it up if you want. But
feels like an understatement.
Is the 6A in Texas, and Aledo is 5A. That we're both like our own type of royalty within our conferences. Like Allen's one of the winningest and most successful programs at the moment, and Aledo is also the same way. Like we win state almost every year, the same way Allen does, and we play each other in like preseason and stuff like that. And so I got to see Kyler Murray play football in high school before he became hotshot Kyler Murray. So that's kind of cool.
Before he went first overall in 2 different professional sports drafts.
Yes, which I still think he made the wrong choice, but another video for another time. All right, number 3, dude I didn't realize ever wore the number 1 because he's so known for wearing a different number. But Michael Vick. Vick, known for lots of things in his life, but mainly besides the fact of having dogs fight each other, He was a outstanding quarterback for the Falcons and again for the Eagles. But after the Eagles, he had a year stint with the Jets, and he wore the number 1. Because I don't know who was wearing number 7, but someone was wearing number 7. 2014, I think it was.
It's not only who was wearing number 7, but who was wearing number 7 and was more important than letting Vic take the number.
2014. Was that Mark Sanchez?
There's no way Sanchez got priority.
It's around the same time, man. He was strapped.
That would have been post Favre, right?
Yeah.
Favre's 1 year stint.
Yeah. It's around Sanchez. That's around the Sanchez era. I could be wrong on that. We'll see when we get to number 7.
Vic had to take a back seat to butt fumble.
Well, Sanchez, I don't know. Whatever. Michael Vick started 3 games that year, only went 1-2. So that was like his last good year was his second to last year with the Eagles. After that, he was bad.
Oh yeah, wins are all a quarterback stat for sure.
His stats weren't impressive after that year, anyway, so it doesn't matter. It was just bad. The last 3 years of his career was like stain on the rest of it. Okay, so my number 2. Like I said before, I'm a baseball guy. I'm gonna say this name. You're probably gonna go, "Who the heck is that?" If anyone else that listens to this is a baseball person, hopefully they know the name Ozzie Albies. Do you know who Ozzie Albies is, Clay?
I mean, I read it while researching people who were the number 1.
Okay,
but
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, so he's currently the second baseman for the Atlanta Braves, and he is a young stud. He's a young dude. I think he's like 24, but he's been a starter since 2018, I believe. Could be 2017. But he's already been selected as an all-star and won a Silver Slugger in 2019. And he's young. He's like part of a young core that the Braves have on a really, really good team. And he's putting up impressive numbers. He's something like to watch for the future, besides just Ronald Acuna on that team. Ozzie Albies is going to have hopefully a solid future in baseball. And then my number 1 favorite, number 1. I'm going to go with the hometown bias, Elvis Andrews. Do you know who Elvis Andrews is, Clay? Elvis Andrews has played baseball since 2009. Yeah. He was a shortstop for the Rangers for 12 seasons. He doesn't set any records besides being caught stealing bases the most. That's his only record I think he has, unfortunately. But he's second or third in a lot of other hits on base, a bunch of other stuff. He's the last decade. You can't think of the Texas Rangers without having to mention Elvis Andrews, who was just a stable guy that you knew in big moments could get a hit and drive in a run. He was on both of the World Series teams. He was a signature player after that, and all the way up until last year, really. Now he's on the Athletics, but he's probably done after this year, I think. But he had a 12-year run, and he ended up being second in Rookie of the Year his rookie year.
What's his current batting average?
I think it's 195. He is not the everyday shortstop for the Athletics. He only plays in certain situations.
There's also, all of baseball's batting average is down this year.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. That's because COVID. Welcome, thank you, COVID.
COVID. You're going to blame COVID?
Elvis Andrews.
Manfred wants to put the mound back a little bit, so batters having a little extra second or two to think about.
Hey, that's a whole nother video we can talk about. But here's the deal. That gets us into our new topic. What, Clay, if there were rules that we could change in sports or anything we could change in any sport, what
we were the professional sports czar.
Right. You were commissioner for a day, basically. We were commissioner for a day of any sport we want to pick, or multiple sports, or all of sports. I wish that were a thing. That'd be kind of funny. But we talked about this and brought it up as a idea. I think it's a solid idea. I've got 2.5 things I want to hit here. So my first one, just in any sport, really just put NFL and MLB. Change the way that reviews work. For heaven's sake, why isn't everything reviewable? Everything should be reviewable. And this gets at me, especially with baseball, in the past several weeks. There have been calls made that sometimes have gone to review, or it's a play that happened and it's not reviewable for some dumb reason. Like it's a judgment call by the umpire. Like, God, with the technology we have in today's world, we shouldn't have to be make judgment calls anymore. If it's a judgment
call, calls by umpires and refs in any sport a judgment call.
That's the thing, yeah, and the thing, technology exists to get those calls correct.
Yeah.
So I think it was last week, Andrew McCutcheon, who's on the Phillies right now, was running from first to second on what was going to be a double play. Second baseman couldn't reach him, and so he just lunged for him. Andrew McCutcheon ran in a straight line the entire time. He may have dodged, but his feet did not move. His lower body was on one path. Umpire called him out because he ran out of the base path. Dude was not close to touching him. Andrew McCutcheon did not change his line, was in the dirt the whole time, and was called out. And that's not reviewable.
Yeah.
It's just a judgment call by the umpire.
Mad when stuff like that doesn't get reviewed and corrected, and we get some other garbage calls that go under review for 25 minutes before they finally, come back with, oh yeah, we're not going to change anything.
Exactly. This is something that I listen to John Boy media with talking baseball and just a lot of the stuff they do. I enjoy their stuff. But he put out a video. He's put out videos this year about these bad calls, and just basically said why do you take if you're reviewing the call, you're challenging the call, why is the previous call even a consideration? Why is there the view of we hold that call? No, if you're going to challenge it, I should say, okay, we're wiping this play clean, and we're right now going to decide what it is.
Yeah.
Whatever just the call was does not matter, and I agree with him. He makes a valid point. Why do we have to listen to the call that was made that we're challenging? That's what we're putting into question. That shouldn't even be held in the argument. And so I'm getting mad at this. I got to calm down.
Because you still got 1.5 more.
Okay. That's really, that was the 1.5. That was the 1.5. I got one left. So with baseball, a big thing right now is pace of play. Okay. Rob Manfred wants to cut pace of play down, and so they're putting all these different initiatives in minor leagues and in independent leagues to cut those down. The big one being talked about right now is the pitch clock, having 20 seconds between each pitch for the pitcher to get the ball back, get in position, and throw the next pitch. The issue is, if you go, Clay, when was the last time you watched a baseball game on TV?
Oh,
have you watched
TV?
One this season? Yeah, have you watched one?
I haven't watched one this season.
Okay.
I probably watched a playoff game last year.
Okay. So I try to watch 2 or 3 games a week, and there's usually 5 or 6. But I try to watch 2 or 3 games a week. The amount of time between a pitch and then between 2 pitches is mainly, I can guarantee you this. When the next game the Brewers have, watch part of the game at least, or at least watch just a 5-minute clip of someone at bat. The batters walking out of the batter's box on every single pitch.
Yep.
That alone takes 30 seconds because the batter's got to. And listen, I love baseball. I'm a Texas Rangers fan. Yeah, I'm a Texas Rangers fan. I love Joey Gallo. I'm loving Nick Solak right now. Adolis Garcia. They're all great. But here's the deal. After every single pitch, every single batter, no matter how good you are, steps out. They adjust their gloves. Sometimes they put a little bit more dirt on their hands. They take their hats off. they adjust the chains or whatever, or their jersey. They take forever, and the pitcher is sitting there ready, but the batter is out, leaned back out of the box, changing whatever, messing with themselves. The rule I would change: batters have to stay in the box between pitches.
Or like make it where they can only step out every 3 pitches.
Yeah, something. If they have to adjust their gloves after a big swing or something like that, sure, adjust it. But when you're sitting there taking a pitch, you don't have to adjust anything. Nothing changed. You did is sit there, got there, and got set. Sorry, they just. I'm okay.
Okay.
What about you, Clay? You're commissioner of a sport for a day. What changes do you make?
I've got one specifically for the NFL and one for all sports. I'm going to take a hockey rule and apply it to everybody because I think it's brilliant. So we'll start with the NFL. For the NFL, I think there should be one time a game what's called an owner's challenge. So the owner, in communication with the coach, right? Because the coach is the one who has to throw the flag. They can choose to challenge any play at any point on the clock, within 2 minutes, without 2 minutes, reviewable, non-reviewable, doesn't matter.
Okay.
But the owner has to donate like $50,000 to some charity or something. So he can do it, but it's going to cost him $50K. And he can challenge anything he wants at any point in the game, but only one time per game.
Huh.
It's one of those why not? Because to your point, everything should be challengeable, but I also don't want every single play stopped for review.
Oh, yeah.
But it also, might help a little bit with NFL's PR right now.
Oh, yeah.
And if you think about it, how often are they going to decide? We call it the owner's challenge because it's the owner's money, but really at the end of the day, the coaches are going to make the decision whether or not to challenge, except for in Dallas. Hey, what can you say?
It's fair.
But yeah, I mean, it gets some, and maybe the 50,000 doesn't all go to one charity. Maybe they each have 5 charities or something that they split it up between. But it gets those charities on national television because during the review, the announcers will talk about what charities are getting the money and all of that. But it just kind of gives you one more, no matter if the coach has already lost all of his challenges type of thing, or if he's already used them all or whatever, at the cost of $50,000, you can challenge one more play.
Yeah. That would be.
And I guess you could apply that to baseball if you want, but I don't know how challenge rules work in baseball to begin with.
It's a little complicated, but it's not like the NFL.
They don't walk around with a red flag and you can do it twice a game.
No. You get 20 seconds. It used to be 30 and now it's 20. Yeah, the bench coach or the assistant manager is on the phone and telling you to hold on. Meanwhile, the manager is up on the top step going, hold on, looking back at the guy, hold on. Okay, no, we're good. And then we'll go.
Yeah. Okay.
That's really how it goes. If
you're trying to figure out what that awkward silence is, you need to tune into YouTube to see Jake's little clicking finger.
Yeah. That's literally what guys do. If a guy wants to coast a challenge, they'll sit there and point at the guy. They'll go, and it's really funny to see because someone will be adamant. And you're like, bro, you were out, man. You were out. Everyone knows you were out. And the coach ain't gonna listen to you. You just walk back, just go to the dugout. Right. Who cares?
So the rule that I would really do if I could be czar of all sports and just apply this everywhere.
Okay.
It's the penalty box. I think it's brilliant. It emphasizes how important those penalties are. Not only did you do something that harmed your team as a whole, right now, the excessive celebration penalty of player dances his way in the end zone or whatever, but all that happens is that you kick the football off 10 yards further back or 15, whatever it is.
Right. It's dumb.
That doesn't do anything.
No.
But if your team had to play 5 downs of football with only 10 men on the field, now that would really set the tone.
Dude.
So basically, in all sports, anytime a penalty should be assessed, replace it instead of giving certain number of yards. Now, just like hockey, if the offense commits the penalty, the play stops, right?
Mhm.
So if your offensive line holds, that play still doesn't count, but now you're down one person on the field.
Okay.
Now you could sub in another offensive lineman and be down a hands guy or something, like instead of running with three
you
wideouts,
get to
you're running with
choose which
two.
player.
But still, that guy can't come back in for 5 plays, and you're only playing with 10 guys. Or in baseball, you're only playing with 8 guys. You can put just 3 in the infield and then keep 3 in the outfield if you want. But you're only playing with 8. Now, baseball, there's not a whole lot of penalties that typically happen, so it's not going to affect it as much.
There are literally
basketball
none.
would be interesting. Can you imagine playing 2 minutes of basketball down a player?
Yo, that'd be nuts. Oh my goodness. It's like basically instead of technicals, they get rid of techs and go with the would you like limit it to a certain type of foul?
No.
Because you gotta think about like football. Like holding is the most common foul because it happens literally on every play and they just decide when they want to do it or when it's just super obvious.
The point is to stop penalties.
You're not going to stop an offensive lineman from holding. As a former offensive lineman, I can tell you that's just not going to happen. No matter what.
I bet it would if the risk was that you'd be out there with 6 players.
Okay. It's your
by the
rules.
time your whole offensive line held.
Yeah.
They'd figure out a way.
Yeah, it's your rule. I see you. Okay.
Now, obviously, I'm only czar for a day, so I'm sure the NFL would amend it or get rid of it.
No. It stays forever. It stays for at least a year.
Forever.
For a year, or at least for a year.
Okay. I'd allow some amendments in the first year. Like, hey, let's figure this out. So, like, maybe holding, but, like, still, maybe holding, you're only out for 1 play.
Okay.
Whereas, pass interference is 5 plays, and an unsportsmanlike conduct is 10. I'd
be game with that. Easy. Oh, yeah.
So don't be ripping people's face masks off because you're going to be playing with 10 players for 10 downs of football.
Yeah, don't lunge straight at them either.
Right. So I think it would improve player safety. It would encourage less penalties in all sports. I mean, your basketball team isn't going to be out there throwing out fouls in the last 10 seconds. If that means now they're playing with 3 guys on the court, that doesn't help anything.
Dude, no. That would be interesting for sure. It'd be tough with like you said with sport like baseball where like fouls don't happen. Guys just get thrown out.
Yeah.
Because umpires are little babies.
And think about it. What if in soccer a yellow card was, all right, your team has to play 1 guy down the rest of the game, and a red card or the rest of that half, and the red card was the rest of that game. And if it's already the second half, it carries over into the first half of the next game.
2 halves, basically. Yeah. Kind of like how suspensions work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because again, soccer, there's not just a ton of penalties that happen. I mean, they happen.
Right, but they're not like super excessive.
They're not like every other play like football.
Yeah. Dude, that'd be interesting.
It'd be fun for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Another variation for like football would be like, you remember, who was it? Was it Antonio Brown that tried to get into a fist fight with a corner?
Oh, no. That was OBJ and
yeah.
What's his Josh Norman.
Yeah. So like those guys trying to get in a fist fight. All right, both teams are down a player. You guys are gonna leapfrog each other for 100 yards, and then you can get back on the field.
That would be funny.
It's kind of like the equivalent of when parents used to make siblings hold hands and smile at each other after fighting.
Oh yeah, something like that. That would.
All right, you guys got to leapfrog together. You can fight. That's fine.
Right, or they got to do the death crawl or whatever.
Oh my gosh!
Like one on the other's back and go the entire.
Switch up the 50-yard line.
Nah, dude, you gotta get to the 100.
If that dude switch, another guy's got to do 100.
If that dude facing the Giants did it, then the rest of them can do it. Although that probably wasn't, so it's okay.
But what happens when Ndamukong Suh and Kyler Murray get into a fist fight? Kyler Murray's not going to crawl with Ndamukong Suh on his back.
Kyler Murray is smarter than that. So I would sure think so.
Yeah.
He just let him have it. Like, All right, dude.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, not my thing. Nope.
He'd let his big offensive lineman come in and take care of it.
There you go. He'd show him with his arm. That's it. But yeah.
Those would be my rules. I think those would be some interesting rule changes.
Oh, for sure.
I think the football only owners challenge is the most like directly applicable as the game is played now.
Oh, for sure.
Putting the penalty box into all sports would be really difficult. I also think some of the fast-paced sports like basketball would be interesting to have subs like hockey, where you just do line changes instead of waiting till a stoppage and play. I'm not saying it would work, but it would be interesting.
That would be cool.
Maybe
for sure.
we could do that in like preseason or something.
Oh yeah, or like the All-Star game, since no one takes the All-Star game seriously in basketball anyway.
You can make it even more interesting. And who is it? Indianapolis or somebody during the NCAA tournament has that like raised court, or is that the Garden?
Dude, you're talking to the wrong person. I don't know.
There's a court out there I've seen where like the bench, like you're sitting eye level with the court. Can you imagine line changes having to climb up onto the court?
That'd be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think let's gonna call it for us here in this episode number 4 of CJ Sports. Comment, let us know, send in a question or something like that. Who's your favorite number 1? And if you were to change a rule in any sport for a year, let's say that it's sustained for a year, what would you change? Let us know. We'll get back to you. Maybe if you comment something good, we make a comment about it on next episode.
Or if you have an idea for a segment on a future episode, leave that below.
Dude, exactly. We are welcome because literally we're just kind of firing out the hip right now. But yeah, that'll do it for episode 4 of CJ Sports. See y'all next time.
See ya. Pew, 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 pew.